sorry, so we can continue on. So then we're at G and H here. So 10 minus 5 via D would be 5. And if I went along from J, 17 minus 10 is 7. And then B, if I go along B, so this is the smallest, so 5 minus 4 is 1. So the critical path is, so the critical path was along that. Sorry, I don't know what it does one. So I'm just gonna, highlight in the pen. Sorry. So the critical path is the one with the activities with 0 float time. So it's the ones where the numbers match. So there we go. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the answer to that question, how many have a float time, is 5. Okay. If the managers of the project are able to reduce the time in days of 6 activities, these reductions will result in an increase in the cost of completing the activity. The maximum decrease in time of the activities is 2 days. So, but this is, and then they've given a daily cost. So you can crash them all by 2. So you could take 2 off all of them, maximum, but each one day will cost you $1,500 for A and so on. So if activities A and B have their completion time reduced by 2 days, the overall completion time of the project will be reduced. What is the maximum reduction time in days? So this is a crashing, and if you just reduce A and B by 2, what's going to be the minimum days? So that's a crashing thing. And hopefully in reading time, you've also looked down here, we've got a crashing with a cost. But so we're going to have to probably do up our table. So before I answer D and E, I'm just going to get myself ready, because I know when I do, I've got to put all the paths and say the length of each path option and so on, and then I'm going to do crashes and that. So I'm going to be doing the table. So I'm going to go back up here on the network, and once again, I'm just going to rub that out just so I can show you all the paths. You probably wouldn't have to do it on the exam. You can just make sure you're doing all the paths, but just to make it easier here. All right, so I'm just going to write them up here, and then we'll transfer them down on the later in a minute. So the first one you can see, so go A, C, F, K, and L. So one is A, C, F, K, and L. And if you add up that one, it ends up being 22. So then I've done that top one. Then I'm going to go A, C, I, K, L, and we did that one. That was the critical path, so there's 24. Then I'm going to do the next option, which is B, D, G, I, K, and L, and that one adds up to 23. And then if I do B, D, H, J, L, that one's 23. And then if I do B, E, the bottom one, J, L, and that adds up to 21. So there are all my paths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop them down here, just again, but it's here. We got, so A, C, F, K, L was 22. A, C, I, K, L was 24. That was a critical path because it's the longest. G, I, K, L was 23. B, D, H, J, and L is 23 as well. And B, E, J, and L is 21. Okay, so for this first one here, this D, it said we could crash A and B by 2. So if I look at that, A, B, B, B. So all of these could go down by 2. So if I think about it, so I'm just going to call this question D. Then this one would be, this becomes 20, this one becomes 22, this one becomes 21, this one becomes 21, and this one becomes 19. So the quickest that it can be done is 22. So what will be the maximum reduction in days? So you've only really saved 2 days. Okay, so there's that one. If I go to this next part, it says the managers of the project have a budget of 15,000 to reduce the time for several activities, the maximum reduction in the project and completion time. Complete the table showing the maximum reduction. So now we're going to say we can do all the crashes of the A, B, F, H, I, and K. They said we could crash all of them. We can do them all by 2. So if I circle all those ones that you can crash, and then I'm just going to take 2 for every circle I've done. So yeah, so then we get these new ones. So I have to take 6 off this one, so that becomes 16 off the original. This one becomes 18, 17, and these 2 become 19 and 19. So this is the new critical path. So we want to get these numbers down to 19. Okay, so with this one, this top one, to get that to 19, I need to minus, so this is what we're going to say, what's needed in this column. Now, I have to, if you look at, try when you're going to what's needed, let's look at the biggest one, the critical path first. So 24 has to go to 19. So we need to drop that one by 5. So if you look, A is on multiple critical paths. So that's going to have the most impact. So we need to drop it by 5. So I'm going to use A by 2 and I can only use A2. And if I look up here, I is also circled and it is fairly cheap. So I'll do I by the 2, and then and then I've got K. So I'll do K was expensive. So I'm just going to do K by 1. Okay, so that would get this one down to 19. So then if I go back up here, I have to reduce this one by 3. Now I have to use A in the other option. So there's 2 of them. And I've had to use K already. So there's 1 and that's become 3. So that one's covered. If I look here at the B, now I have to get 23 down to 19. So I have to drop it by 2. Now I might, 23, sorry. I've got to drop it by 4. So I'm going to have to use, now you can see B is in multiple paths there. So I'll do B by 2, and that's 2 of them. And then I might do, I've already had to use I by 2, so I can use that. So there's 4. I've already used 4 there. Okay, now because down here I've got B and I've got to get this one also to drop by 4. So I'm going to use B by 2, and the only other option is H by 2. So I'm going to have to use 2 H's there. And then the last one, I've got to drop it by 2. So I've already using B by 2, so there you go. So what did I have to use? You can see I had to use B by 2, so there, had to use 2 of A. F, I didn't use. H, I had to use 2. I had to use 2, and K, I used 1. Okay, so there, because and then hopefully that falls into budget, because we've not wanted to use if you give it, so because otherwise that's the cheapest way. Otherwise K would, we could, if we didn't have a budget, we could do whatever we wanted, but they've given us a budget, so we want to do it in the smallest way, and that produces that.